Well, Washington, D.C. apparently hasn't changed at all. You see, we have what's called a lame duck Congress, meaning GOP is about to take over the House, not the Senate. That sucks, but that's life. And of course, they're working on a massive bill, a bill they love to call, they do this all the time, omnibus. And every time I've ever seen one of these things, it's been a complete disaster. So what's in this new crappy bill, and is it going to pass? Joining me now, friend of the show, Representative Scott Perry, of course, of the wonderful House Freedom Caucus, where you can go find the actual decent congressman out there. Okay, Congressman, what's in the omnibus bill, and is it going to pass?
Well, Jesse, thanks for having me on. We don't know what's in the omnibus bill. First of all, they say they have a framework, so we don't know what's in the framework. Second of all, we're not involved in crafting the framework, at least not in the House of Representatives. Now, there are Senate Republicans that are involved. I say Senate Republicans so-called because, look, if you're a conservative, if you're trying to do what your Republican voters in your state sent you to do, you're not going to be doing this. But here's what I can tell you. I think it's about $1.6 to $1.9 trillion in additional spending. Oh. Jesse, just for the context, the Fed just announced more rate increases to crush the housing market and to tamp down this runaway record inflation, and the Senate and soon to be in the House of Representatives were pouring the gasoline of printed money, just created money out of thin air on the fire. We are standing on the precipice of that. And of course, on cue, with Christmas looming, they're going to back us right into a corner and say, well, if you don't vote for it, the government's going to shut down right before Christmas, and so is not going to be able to buy their child, G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip or something like that, right? So that's where we are.
Well, the government shutting down right before Christmas would be the greatest Christmas gift I could ever receive. But all that aside, do they genuinely not see the debt and how it's going to smash this nation? I realize it hasn't yet, but it is obviously we're in the early stages of it. Both parties continue to do this as if that freight train is never going to get here. It blows my mind.
Yeah, and let me introduce you to what's called modern monetary theory. And of course, the left has fully taken this on and believe in it. Now a bunch of folks, Republicans, are starting to believe it. And that theory says that because we're the reserve currency, it doesn't actually matter how much we spend. We can spend as much as we want to. We don't even have to tax for it. Now, Jesse, they're going to continue to tax you because they want to punish certain activities that people like you engage in, like buying SUVs, buying gasoline, living in a home instead of a tent, those kind of things. But that's where we're headed right now. They don't see debt as an issue because they don't think it's ever going to be a problem. And I mean literally, they don't think it's ever going to be a problem. Of course, China is happy just to watch us do this and destroy our country and the opportunities for any future that our children are going to have.
One thing I did find a little bit encouraging, although I don't trust it at all, was Kevin McCarthy at least sounds like he's against it. Here he was.
Are you going to get a time to read it? They're trying to jam us right before Christmas. Why would you ever move forward when there's a change in power in 21 days where Republicans would have a stronger hand? That we wouldn't be talking about adding more money, we'd talk about decreasing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds good. He's been sounding good. What say you?
That sounds good, but we got to back that up, right? So how do we back that up? We need every single Republican in the House of Representatives voting no on this to provide no cover. You always notice how the Democrats and the media say bipartisan support. We should provide no bipartisan support in the House. And quite honestly, members, including the guy that wants to be the next Speaker of the House, needs to call out these Republican senators and say, quit betraying the people that sent you. Quit betraying your own children and grandchildren. Quit betraying the country. Nobody sent you here to bankrupt the country. Look, it's unpleasant. We don't want to have to call out Republicans, but let's face it, they've earned it. And we need the guy that wants to lead the Republican conference to play hardball because they sure are with us in our wallet.
What's the status on this House leadership race? Everyone's talking about it. Where are we at on this whole thing?
So, Jesse, I almost want to frame it for you. Doing the same things with the same people under the same conditions and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. At least that's what Einstein said. Right now, we see the Senate. They've got Mitch McConnell. You see what you get with Mitch McConnell. Like, you just see it. And the RNC, I have no beef with Ronna McDaniel, but if you lived in the corporate world, which I did, I ran my own business, you have to succeed or you're out of work. In the House of Representatives, we're saying, look, we can't just maintain the status quo. Things aren't working for the American people here. So we have to change something. We either change what we do or we're going to change who does it. Either management has to change or the process has to change. That's what we're looking for. It's not personal. It's not about we don't like you or something like that, but something has to change because we can't, Jesse, we can't spend the next 2 years doing what we're doing right now, what we just did with the National Defense Authorization Act, 4,000 plus pages of a Christmas tree bill. You know what I'm talking about, right? And now this omnibus, $1 trillion, 1.6, $1.9 trillion, no time to read it. You don't even know what's in it. We cannot keep doing the same thing. So we are demanding something change. And that's where we are right now. If something doesn't change, Jesse, something else is going to change.
Speaking of Mitch McConnell, here he was talking about election losses.
You have to have quality candidates to win competitive Senate races. Our ability to control the primary outcome was quite limited in 22 because of the support of the former president. Hopefully in the next cycle, we'll have quality candidates everywhere and a better outcome.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and defend the quality of every single GOP candidate, but John Fetterman won because he was of a better quality?
Yeah. I would just say this. If the Senate had been more in line, and quite honestly, some of my colleagues in the House of Representatives, when President Trump was office, if they would have been more in line with the America First agenda and sticking up for America and the people that go to work every day with a lunchbox and pay the taxes, then I think we'd have been in a much better position. But when you're not willing to support the president who has the support of the people, this is the kind of division that you get in the Republican Party. We got to quit having Republicans want to join the uniparty more than they want to support their own base of supporters in their states and in their districts.
How bad is it working with Chip Roy every single day?
Look, you know that Chip is a guy that is reserved. You oftentimes don't know what's on his mind. And of course, he's often afraid to speak his mind. Look, if we had 435 Chip Roys and another 55 in the Senate and one in the presidency, I think you would see a completely different United States where we would be free, taxes would be low, and the government wouldn't be telling you, what kind of light bulb you got to buy and what kind of car you're allowed to drive. That would be the difference. Unfortunately, there's just not enough to go around.
Amen. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Jesse, God bless you. Merry Christmas. Thank you.